The market's taking a brief dump today. Let's see what happens with the action as it relates to Uniswap. Okay, boys and girls, I'm back again with a very tremendous report, very important report. This one's gonna be the best, simply the best out there of the action of Uniswap. As we see BTC, Bitcoin taking a brief dump thanks to the news with the Bitmex lawsuit. All right, let's just jump straight into it and I'll show you what I'm observing. Get rid of that and let's jump into the 4-hour chart. Right off the bat, we can see some obvious things going on that should draw our attention. Number one, the fact that the stochastic never made it into the oversold zone before it took this reverse move. Probably got clipped off when the Bitmex news hit about 2 or 3 hours ago. It was a bit longer than that. As a matter of fact, it was earlier this morning. But after that news hit, we see that we've rounded off and the fast line has crossed over the slow line. And this might be a brief little peak. And there's a chance that we could come diving out of this and headed into the correction territory. There's also a chance that this just might be a brief crossover. And once everybody gets over the Bitmex news, maybe we'll jump back up here into the overbought territory. All right. The next bit of obvious, the next obvious thing is what I wanted to say here is that we have violated a support line right here. And then we're going to zoom in and show you how we bounced off of another support line, very support line right there, almost right on cue. Now, I drew these lines several days ago, and these lines are based on previous supports and resistances. This first one right here started out at the top of this red candle here on the 4-hour, and then we had, we dove down, hit up and then closed, and then this green one dove down and moved up and it blew through this as a resistance. So the next time it will become support when we dove down here, right there, okay? And so for the third time, since this has been a support, hopefully it will be another support. And it depends on whether or not we consider this dip as touching or coming close enough to the line that it could be support or not. Now, it definitely looked like support right here. But if we continue to go down, is that going to be support again? There's a chance that it may not, and we could bomb straight through. Let's clear that and let's zoom in to the 1 hour so we can get a closer view at all three of these support lines. Okay, so when we look out here to the left side of the chart, we had this upper line, this blue line right here, where we had tons of support going on where it was messing around, bouncing around that line. And then it blew straight through and now it has become resistance. So we go down to the second line and we see that it bounced on that line we had once, twice, and 3 times a lady. And on the third time it breaks through and now it becomes resistance since it violated. But what's really strange, we blew right through it. We had one little hit there of resistance and that's all it took, and then it went ahead and jumped up through. But now we see with today's action, we blew straight through this line and now it's going to become resistance again. So let's clear this out and zoom in even further so I can show you this little bit of interesting evidence right on the line. It's hard to see here. I got to scrunch it down so we get off of that candle, where on the 1 hour, we can see here that we never really made it all the way down to the bottom of this blue support. And then we can see that once we flew back up to the upper line, we poked through it just a little bit, but then the candle is still forming. This one is not closed, but right now we bumped our head on that support line and it came back down. So let's clear this out and zoom back out and see if we can make a determination of where it goes from here. What are the possibilities? We got enough data on this chart since the split that we can see that the volume profile has two areas that it really likes where the institutional trading goes on, and that's right around the point of control and where we are centered at the current price. So here are the possibilities. On the 1 hour, we can see that the stochastic is bottomed out. So that means within an hour, we could go back up to this line, but I don't think there's enough strength in this move in 1 hour to poke through this and have this become a new support. And we can see that when we go back to the 4 hour. So looking at the 4 hour, let's just zoom on in, and it's a lot more clear here as we see the stochastic once again has crossed over, and within the next 4 hour time frame, we're headed down. Okay, so if we are kind of in a downward trajectory here with the possibility of bumping back up and regaining momentum, we may be headed back down here towards this lower support line, or we could snap right back up to this middle one where this could become a support. So worst case scenario is what? We could come right back down to this lower support line that coincides with a price that's just under $4, maybe $3.90. And then the second possibility, which is more probable, is that we propagate back to this middle line. Let's make this one kind of blue for neutral. This is what I see here coming to the highest volume profile bar that is centered around what, $4.20, somewhere around there, and we're not far from that right now. We're at $4.14. And then the positive side is we could blow past this line, it becomes support, and then we'll do what these green arrows are doing, where we head back up and test the upper line that is on the chart here, which will probably become resistance. Let's make this a red line, as a matter of fact. This could become resistance. So depending on what Bitcoin does, and it looks like Bitcoin is still in somewhat of a bearish trend on the micro, where I don't think it's done yet. I think there's still a possibility we could sail down and fill the CME gap. So that is my prediction based on the evidence of where we can go. I did leave off one bit of evidence that also tells me that the neutral to the bearish has a little bit more probability than the one of heading up back to the top of that resistance line, and that is the unbalanced volume. This tells me there's still a lot of distribution going on. And who is it that is selling? It's probably all you people that got the lucky 400 uni airdrop. I didn't get that because I didn't use Uniswap for the first time until mid-September because I didn't want to pay those high gas fees. That scared me away. But I've done a little trading and some farming, yield farming, through the Katana token, which is a train wreck right now. And that's the topic of another video that I'll be doing, where I'll teach you what I learned about yield farming, because I learned some key things that I will warn you about. And what I've noticed is the tendency of these yield farm things that go on where they tell you this one's getting 10,000% APY, 20,000%. There's a little trick to that, and I'm going to fill you in on that. Well, anyway, back to Uni. A lot of this whipsaw action going on as people are trading in those tokens for cash, and now we have a definite dive. This is the lowest it has been since we started back here with the split. That's not very encouraging. So we might not be left with people selling off their Uni tokens. And if Bitcoin is still going down, if we're still in this bear market on the micro, not an overall bear market, I still see a lot of people selling their Uni tokens for cash before the price heads any further south, because they're going to want to hold on to that or maybe tether up and wait for the market to turn around. Now, that's about all I have. What is your insight about Uniswap? Is it going to be a slop fest, or is Uniswap going to make a power move and head back up to the top of this support resistance line? I'd sure like to hear it. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do that right now and post your comments. I'm glad to have everybody here. You're the greatest audience. I'll take a drink of coffee to you. Thank you very much for being here, and let me know what you'd like to see analysis-wise on the next Crypto Pro video. This is Carlton Flowers, and I am done. We'll see ya.